their brains apart. I've sat down with Les Thatcher. I picked his brain. That was a phenomenal experience. And when I learned from Les Thatcher is something that I can't compare to anything else. Between him and Terry Taylor both taught me a lot. And I think is the more people that you can take from in the old days, like the Terry Taylors, the Les Thatchers, the Rowdy Pipers, the Terry Funks, the things that you can take from these people is tremendous because these are the guys that helped build the platform for us to do what we do today.
Do you want me to help you out with that? I'm in contact with Ted DiBiase and Roddy Piper. I have all their numbers. All the people you just mentioned, I have contact with. Do you want me to help you with that?
Oh, that would be phenomenal. I would love that very much.
I'll send you some of their numbers, and you can get in contact with them from there, and you can just explain that you want some one-on-one time with them. Terry Funk, I've interviewed all these guys that you're talking about. Even Christopher Daniels. I was one of the first people to interview Christopher Daniels when he broke away from TNA Wrestling for the first time and started going back to the independents, and then he went back to TNA, and he spoke to me about the Angel's Wings and how he came up with that move and just the psychology of the business, and I understand where you're coming from, wanting the chance to speak to these guys. I promoted his DVD and all kinds of shit that he had going on, and it's just fun, getting to hear the stories personally. With them off a contract, they can tell you what they want, and it's just so much fun, and Christopher Daniels is someone who I'll never forget.
Well, I've gotten to pick the brain of two guys from TNA, and that was who is now known as Xavier Woods, Austin Creed. I got to pick his brain, and I've met that gentleman twice. I met him once in Georgia, and then I met him when he came to Amarillo for a TNA show, and him and I have talked and learning. He's, I believe, slightly younger than I am, and hearing his experiences and everything that he's done, that's one thing that has just driven me to try to even be better in the business and get further. And then the other person I actually got to pick brains with was Alex Shelley, and that man is a submission technician. Oh my goodness. The things that you can learn from that man, you can tie yourself up into a pretzel and not be able to get out.
Austin Creed, I've spoken to him. He's pretty fun.
He is.
He is, yeah. But I don't really like his gimmick, though, in WWE now. Like, the whole dancing thing, shit, that's terrible. Like, the thing is, the potential that these characters have, and the creative team, what the blame goes back to is the fucking creative team sucks, is what it comes back to.
I don't believe that, because if you notice, they start people out at these very low gimmicks. And I think the reason they do that is to see the potential that they have. And I mean, if you like what they did with Dusty Rhodes and the polka dots.
Oh God.
You can sell something like that and be people behind you and have those people believing in you. And guess what? You can have them believing in you whenever you're a rock star.
Yeah.
Or whenever you've got that gimmick that everybody loves.
It's like the Warrior, the Ultimate Warrior gimmick. Nobody really believed in the Warrior on a professional level, but when it came to the fans, everybody believed in everything that he said. And that was amazing.
Exactly.
And that's what it comes down to. If you can get the fans to believe in you, who cares about who believes in you in the business?
Exactly. I've had my fair share of gimmicks, and I've been doing this for 8 years now, and my fair share of gimmicks. There was one point where I was transitioning into Brandon Macgreggor. I actually came in the business under a mask, and I wrestled under a mask for a good 6 months, and then for about a year and a half, I wrestled as Bart McClintock. I came up with that one. It was a cowboy.
Mm-hmm.
And I came up with that because of it was kind of a tribute to my grandmother. She loved John Wayne, and you got McClintock, who John Wayne portrayed in there's a McClintock movie. Well, I did that, and my finisher there was called the Royal Flush. It's my finisher now, and what it is kind of an inverted backbreaker like Randy Orton does, but I hold on to it whenever I come up, and then I grab their leg, throw them out into a uranagi, and I sit out with it.
You ever met Bob Orton before?
Bob Orton? No, I have not.
He's a piece of shit. The thing is, the Ortons are good workers, but they're just to sit down and speak with them are terrible. They are terrible fucking people. And that just demonstrates diversity in a business like that. You have so many good people, and then you have so many bad people just kind of trying to pick up the bad apples, kind of thing. And
it is kind of, but what I believe it really is the people in every act of life you have the good and the bad. I mean, I think you need the bad to make the good so good.
Mm, mm.
So.
And the shame is, a lot of the good people are no longer here with us. We're up to like 50 deaths in the last 6 years, something like 50,
We are.
50,
well,
55.
But the way to make them live on, I believe, is to go back, look at their, watch their old matches, watch their old films, watch their old interviews, and if you can, learn more about them on a personal level, if you have that opportunity, and then make them live on through you and what you do in the industry and what you do in your life. I think that would be one of the best tributes to them. I actually watched the Hall of Fame ceremony for WWE, and watching the Warrior. I really wasn't a big Warrior fan when I was a kid. I really wasn't. I was more into Rowdy Piper, like I said before. And watching the Hall of Fame ceremony, it really touched me. I have two daughters of my own, and the way he felt about his daughters is the way I feel about mine. They are the two best things I've ever done in my life. And then on Monday night, hearing pretty much he gave his own eulogy. He really did. It's sad to say and sad to hear, but he gave his own eulogy on Monday Night Raw, and Tuesday he died of a heart attack. I think the way to make him live on through us is to actually go out there and strive, as he would say, the warrior way. And it's the only way I think we can make the old people, not the old people, but the people from the past live on through us.
I was just going to ask you what your personal opinion was on the death of the warrior, and you kind of filled in the blank there. That was great. That was really great. How do you feel about women wrestling? Like, there's so many different divisions, tag team wrestling, and then we got singles wrestling. How do you feel about the women wrestling and what they contribute?
Women contribute a great deal. I mean, there's no without women, none of us would be here. But without men, none of us would be here as well. So it takes two to tango. I think with women, there is a very fine line of the women that should be in here in the wrestling industry and the ones that shouldn't. The ones that shouldn't are probably the ones that don't really care. They get in it just to say, "Oh, look at me, I'm out in public." I mean, but there are some great women in the wrestling industry. I've wrestled women myself, and in my personal life, I don't believe in hitting a woman, but in a wrestling ring, things change. There's two women here in Amarillo that I've wrestled. One is a Star. She is making leaps and bounds on the independent circuit, and she wrestles at NWA Top of Texas. And there's another girl here that wrestles at Nightmare Pro. Her name's Lilith Blood. I've wrestled her. I actually have a long history with her. I saved her from a beatdown, and then her husband broke my jaw. So him and I have a long history, and his name's Damian Blood. But with women in the industry, it's the same standard as it is for men. If you want to be in the industry, actually put your heart and soul into it. Don't just do it as a term I've heard is weekend warriors. Don't just be a weekend warrior. Actually get out there and train. You have to train. You have to get in the gym. You have to do everything you can to become better, because if you're not, you're just going to end up on a website that's on Facebook that a lot of wrestlers make fun at, and a lot of them get upset for being on. That's called trash bag wrestlers.
That's called people who should get the fuck out of the business and never come back no more. That's exactly what that's called. I've been on a lot of independent wrestling news websites. One is Gerwick, and I've even been on the major ones like ProWrestling.com. It's great when you get the exposure from sites like Pro Wrestling. And it's just fun.
I've only been in a magazine one time. Just my name, no pictures or nothing. And the day I saw that, I was ecstatic. I shared it with everyone.
Yeah.
And the reason why is I wrestled in SLA, St. Louis Anarchy, for it's kind of a sister company of ACW here in Texas. And it was up in Illinois. I wrestled Darren Childs, I can't quite. It was a 4-way dance for the title, and that was my first match there. It was a pre-show to a show that had Alex Shelley on it, and that's one of the best times I had. I've met Darren Childs many a times, and he's a great human being. I haven't had any bad feelings about him or anything. And wrestling him and those other guys, it was great having the opportunity to actually wrestle in front of that crowd, in front of Alex Shelley, learning so much from Alex Shelley. And the main thing, it was just getting